Hey everybody, Nick here, and tonight we're going to do a little disassembly maintenance on this big old guy right here. This is the CKF Sukhoi number 3, I believe. Maybe it's number 2. It's number 162, whatever the heck it is. Anyways, we're about to take this bad boy apart. And let's go ahead and figure out how the hell we're going to... Oh, so what I'm noticing here immediately is that there is carbon fiber here, and the carbon fiber is covering the screws. So what I'm probably going to have to do, if I'm a betting man, I'll need to take the pivot out. That'll remove this collar, which will allow me to lift off the carbon fiber, which then once I unscrew this and this will reveal a pair of screws, probably like here and here or something like that. That should get me the rest of the way into the knife. Let's find out, shall we? What the heck size bit is that? Is that T10? Is it T9? Feels like T9. If that's T9, I'm gonna be a little confused. That's not T8. That's right, I have another good T8 bit in there. Is this T9? This is T9. Are we T9? We are T9. All right, well, that's surprise number 1 for the evening. Go ahead and, oh, that's easy. That's nicely threaded, actually. Okay, so we popped that loose, and that was on top of this pivot ring. Thank you, of course, to my buddy over at Metal Effort, which is another YouTube channel, who loaned this my way. There we go. Yep, there we go. Hey, okay, good. So, sure enough, this pivot ring is sitting on top of the carbon fiber, and so had I tried to pull the scales before taking out the pivot, I would have had a bad time. So I don't want to have a bad time. So instead, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pop this out of here. So actually, here, I'm going to show you something right quick. Right here, you can see this T8 driver here. You can see some of the edges is starting to shear off a little bit. It's not great. And so I'm going to go ahead and swap this with the T8 from this set over here, which is... also beat the shit. Okay, never mind. I just need to get me some new T8s. Alrighty. Whoops. Hey, I just said the S word on camera. Whatever. Okay, so yeah, indeed. Now we've got some screws here and here. Damn, I'm good. Occasionally. Those are running T8 as well. I'll use the less janky of the 2 T8 bits. And I will put this here and here. And this should allow me to pop this thing the rest of the way apart. There we go. And, oh, hey there. Okay, then. So, what I just found, this is the reason, by the way, that I do these disassemblies on this mat. This mat has a rim to it, such that even if I happen to just mistakenly pop open a knife that has loose bearings, that's okay. So this is running MRBS of some variety. They probably don't call it that outside of Shirogorov, but this is, well, CKF and Shiro have many things in common. So, in terms of their overall approach to the world. So, anyways, let's go ahead and pop these guys out of here. So... what I'm trying to think here, there's a strategery involved in this process, because I know that I'm going to be cleaning a whole bunch of little balls here. And what... oh, okay, hey, this is going well. So what I'm trying to do here is keep the number of balls separate. I want to have some balls... ah, crap, this side is... so I'm trying to keep the balls from this front side of me in one place and the ones from the back side in another place. So I'm going to flop this over and hope and pray that that washer drops loose. No, that's not happening. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this pair of tweezers that I've got right here. These look like ceramic bearings. Neat. I'm going to take this pair of tweezers and I'm just going to drop these balls over here. I've got to keep them in their own little pile. And then I'll deal with them in a second. But for the moment then, I'm going to try... I'm scared right now, just because I don't want these to go flying everywhere. I've said many times that this was quite the evening surprise here. I'm glad. Before I just went out to have dinner, and I had like 20 minutes, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll save this time. I'll save this disassembly. I'll try and savor it a little bit. And I sure am glad I did, because, oh boy, we have 8,000 little balls. Okay. So, next step is going to be to get all these balls loose out of this thing. Okay, pop you out of there. These balls, unfortunately, are well lubricated, which is going to mean, well, not well lubricated, actually, but they are lubricated sufficiently that they will want to stick to things. Okay, so that's that, and then here are my balls. What I'm going to do here is just give my balls here a nice soaking. And, yeah. All right, now I'm going to stop making those jokes in my head and go back to disassembling here. So what I'm doing right now is I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And, of course, by the way, you can find all of the tools I'm using for this disassembly and every other one in my knife disassembly toolkit playlist. But anyways, I am just kind of cleaning these little guys off such that I can later on reassemble this, and they will be just lubricated with that which I put into them. And we can see here there's actually a fair amount of gunk up inside this knife, so it's good that I'm getting in here. Or at least, yeah. So this is always the joy of what I'm doing here is, you never quite know what's going to happen on any given moment. I mean, you can never be sure with life in general, but this is especially one of those cases where it's just like, okay, we're going to see here. One thing I'll highlight about this knife while I'm in here is A, holy crap, internal milling. That's kind of nice. But B, also, this backspacer design is very interesting in that, well, there went the pivot. That's fine. You can go over here for the moment, pivot. But you can see here that there's titanium and then a little bit of zirc in the middle there, zirconium that is, and then there's more titanium on the outside. That's a very, very real little step. This knife is actually very impressive, technically speaking. I am quite impressed with the construction of this overall. I mean, this is really good work out of CKF. Whatever factory they're using is doing great stuff here. It feels like this makes Shirogorov feel awfully lazy. And that especially given the price, yeah, this is serious. And the design of Malyshev, I believe this is a Malyshev. Looking at the backspacer, it must be Malyshev. Nobody does a backspacer like Anton Malyshev. I think it's Anton. Either way, God, I'm weird. Anyways, what I was saying there is that this is a really nice piece out of CKF. It's way too big for me. It's not remotely what I'm after in any domain, but at the same time, it's quite... Okay, sorry, I just had a ball try and run. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and put this fabric full of balls right there. And I'll put this cage over here. This leaves me then with the balls over here. And I'm going to take the blade out of the situation for the moment. Just set it off to the side. And I'm going to take this scale off the situation. Just so I have fewer things right now to hide my balls behind, if you will. I need that's not that. Come get fabric swatches. I'm checking my fingers for balls on a regular basis. This would be much easier if I were way more mature. All right. So, anyways, but I'm trying my best to check to make sure that I don't have any stragglers. Everybody hates when your balls stick to things randomly, and this is no exception. Let's go ahead and put this here. Okay, do I have balls here? No, I do not. In fact, right now I am refreshingly free of... So I'm going to go ahead and just drop this, clean this real quick while I'm in here. Because I can go ahead and... That way, when I'm done with all of these balls, I can just move on to the reassembly part. Yeah, so I'm just cleaning this with some rubbing alcohol here. And we can set that off to the side as well. Now what I got to do is make sure I have all of my balls on this fabric here. There we go. I can put that there. Now I need to get all of this out of here. I make sure that, come on. This is why having a selection, this is a watch spring bar tool that I'm using right here. To do this, here, let me zoom you in a little bit so you can see more closely me playing with the balls here. This is why having these weird little kinds of metal things can be helpful in your everyday life as a gear geek and maintainer of fiddly pocket knives like this one. But, yeah, so just using that little spring bar can actually be very helpful here. We have the advantage with this that all of the balls are going to be roughly in the same, you know, they fit into these cages, which is going to be nice. Makes things a lot easier. They don't fall out laterally just from the top. So that's good. All right, now what I'm going to try and do here is pop these loose. There we go. And let's go ahead and roll. My goal here, again, is just to make sure these guys are cleaned off. Alrighty. I think we are good to go here. So, let's go ahead and start the rebuilding process. We will, where is, I need something. Everybody needs something sometimes. Here, wipe up the pool of booze. Lots of people have been driven into a pool of booze by multiple row bearing systems. No doubt. I just am a unique subcase of that. All right, so, oh, and then clean the pivot, of course. I need to put some more booze on that. Here we go, using 91% rubbing alcohol. As always. Okay, so, here we go. This is shaping up to be a pretty... Ah, what was that? Oh, God, what fell? Oh, no. What fell? Okay, I could go back and check the footage. What just fell out? Oh, the stop pin. It must be the stop pin. Okay. Stop pins can't go too far. Where the hell's my stop pin? I have not yet ever found myself in a situation where I have to go back and check the footage to figure out what fell. Come here. Just using a flashlight here to try and pick up on... There it is. Okay. Found it. Cool. All right. Zoom back out a little bit here. Ironically enough, the stop pin... Never mind. I'm sure the creative among you can fill in the blank. So, balls all the way down, alas. All right. So, now we've got the pivot in position. I am going to go ahead and for this one, I'm going to use 10 weight nano oil for the reassembly here. Some people make an argument that you want a thicker oil for a loose bearing situation because it's true. A thicker oil does generally provide a little bit of additional grip on the bearings themselves. However, in my experience and estimation, you don't end up needing that. Very often, skillful reassembly can mean, and then having the thinner oil speeds up your action a lot. And, you know, everybody likes a little bit of quick action from time to time. So what I'm going to now do, aside from... You know, I'm going to take the pivot out for a second, because the one thing I don't want to do is drop one of these balls down into the pivot. That would be not a great thing. And so anything I can do to reduce the chances of that is going to be a bonus. This will also let me get clearer access to the various things. So right now, all I'm doing here, and I can try and zoom back in for you. Scoot this. All right. All I'm doing right now is just dropping ball ones by one into the various holes. And over and over and over again we go. You know, I claim to dislike this. I'll probably ding it in the review. Well, actually, I probably won't. But still, you know, there's a part of me that always, IKBS, loose bearings, come on, ain't nobody got time for that. And at some level, I believe that, but at another level, I'll admit there's a certain joy to this. This is a fiddly little task, but it's not an unpleasant one, wholly at least. All right. As long as you're prepared for it, which I absolutely was not, by the way. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of tap these balls. Generally, ball tapping is very painful. In this case, it's actually quite easy. And I'm just tapping them, making sure they slide all the way in there. Alrighty. So, now what I do is I drop the pivot down around them. Next step here, I'm just looking around, making sure I don't have anything missing. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate. And I'm going to lubricate the detent ball path right here. That's an important step. All right. Now what we do is we drop that on there and then we repeat the process. I'm going to try and... I should have removed this. Is that thread locker? No, it's just weird machining. All right, whatever. What I do want to do, though, is lubricate this area here. And what I'm going to do is just put some lubrication in one of the holes and then use the hole itself to distribute the lubricity, if you will. I'm not squeezing anymore. Okay. Now, this is dry, so I want to make sure I'm not... Perfection. So I just took this little bit of, this is the little stopper for the needle for the nano oil, stuck it in there. That way I'm not dropping any balls in there. Because the problem with dropping a ball in there is not that I can't get it back out. I most certainly can. It's just that in order to get it back out, I would have to turn the knife over, and that would be a dangerous game of its own. So I'd rather not do that. And actually what I can do here is rotate the washer after placement. It makes things easier. This worked out nicely. Oh, oh God. The humanity. So I accidentally lifted this washer thing off. And so now I've just got balls everywhere in there. And I need to try and get them reseated into the little holes. And that's just not doing. Oh. Come on, people. Swing and a freaking miss. I was feeling good about myself, too. And then life intervened. Okay, how can I do this? How can I make this suck less? Okay, I think I got one in there. This feels like lock picking at some level. Hey, I did it. Holy crap. Yeah, there's a level at which that little detail felt lockpicky, but that's okay. Drop that there. Drop that there. We continue onwards. Droppity drop. 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 Droppity drop. Okay. This has got to be super compelling television right now, I'll say. What are you doing? Oh, I'm watching some guy drop balls into holes. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. As long as I'm enjoying making it, that's what matters right now. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now I just go through and I'm pressing the balls down, making sure they're seated in their little bearing races. That will happen sort of naturally as I put everything in place, but I want to make sure I'm doing things under controlled conditions. And just in case one of the tolerances is out of spec on the bearing cage, make sure everything's there. Okay. So now is the part where I try not to screw everything up. Go ahead and that was completely unnecessary. But I am, after all, Nick Shabazz, so I over-lubricate things. Now I put in the screws, and the silver screws go on the inside. And they are not a T10 bit, so why do I have a T10 bit in my hands? I do not know. Oh, that's T9, that's right. Thread locker. Oh, zoom it back out here, guys. Sorry about that. All right. Pop this loose. You know, I live a strange life. I was just out having some dinner with some coworkers and whatnot. Very enjoyable time. And now here I am disassembling a pocket knife wearing a Batman mask. Like, there are some things that one just simply cannot express. You know, everybody's life is unique and different. Normal is just a setting on the washing machine, after all. But this is one of those nights where mine feels a little bit more unique and a little bit more different, right? Oh, what are you doing? I'm making ball jokes that are going to be watched by a couple of thousand people. Well, I'm sitting there in front of my my window, which, by the way, certainly there's a window right over there, and since I've got these lights on me, it's probably pretty apparent to my neighbors that I'm sitting here in a Batman mask. I'm just assuming that they've kind of written me off at this point, right? It's like, oh, God. Yeah, don't go talk to Nick. He's an odd duck. Or maybe they think I am the knight. That could be the case, too. I don't know. I'm very lightly tightening these guys on at the moment. Tightening them on? I don't think that's how English works. Tightening these guys up at the moment. There we go. And now I drop in the pivot collar, which goes there. And now I drop in the pivot, which is actually T9. I put a little thread locker on it, do a little dance, get down to night, if you will. Okay, now the next step here is to test things. Okay, that's ridiculously smooth. Let's go ahead and back it off a little bit. No blade play right now, so let's see where we're at. No play. That's nice. That's very nice. I am physiologically, it has effects. That is impressive. Tighten that down a little bit. Is there the slightest bit of play there? I know. I shouldn't hate the player, but hate the game. That's completely... Yeah, I'm an idiot. But anyways, we are all set here. This is all done. So I hope this has been interesting, that it didn't suck too much for you to watch this, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I cracked myself up. Bye now.